Heyo Trico under Foster White, Foster the Person, Foster23, really whatever you want to call me. Dab, and welcome back to another YouTube video. Guys, I was wrong. Alright, I said that Judas was A tier, and he's not. You know, he's not that good. He's really not that good. He's better. Yeah, I'm gonna start out by saying that. I'm dropping that bomb on you. Judas is S tier. I had said at some, here, roll the clip of what I said. Judas, I removed you from S because I think a lot of people would get upset by that. I'm gonna put him in A tier because I'm nervous that people, no one cared. Nobody cared. He's S tier, bro. He is so good, and that is why we're making this video today, actually. We're gonna be showing in depth how I play Judas and why I think he's so good. So we're gonna be focusing on early game, mid game, and late game as Judas, and then kind of putting in some tips and tricks at the end of some like ways that you can find yourself winning as Judas as well, or ways that I have found myself winning as Judas. And yeah, okay, I shaved. I look young. I look like 13 years old, but you know, the hair is looking good though, you know what I mean? Anyways, right before we get into things, I just want to say again, thank you guys so much for the support on my last few videos. I really appreciate it. I love making Four Souls content. So first things first on the realist, we start out with Judas in early game, and Judas in early game is great. When it comes to early game in general, no one really is looking for, unless you're maybe Bumbo, or first version of Bumbo, not second edition Bumbo, no one's really looking for souls. They're really just looking to build up. That's really kind of what the beginning of the game for Four Souls usually is. And so here you really don't want to make any enemies, which kind of means don't really use Book of Belial unless like explicitly necessary on other people. You really want to be focusing on yourself because Book of Belial is a very easy item to be able to kill easy enemies to start out with, to then be able to get 4 cents, 5 cents, loot 2, loot 1, and stuff like that. And so one thing also in early game, if you are like not tapped, or if your Book of Belial isn't tapped for somebody else's turn and you're considering using it on them, realize that they will consider you an enemy right away. If you use it to kill them when it's early game and everyone really doesn't have anything, it's kind of a BM thing to do. Let them build up. It's the fun of the game, you know? But one thing that you can do with it, similar to like the Maggie situation of like bartering, you could say like, okay, so scenario could be someone's about to kill a monster that gives 4 cents, right? And it's like a 4+ monster and they rolled a 4, right? And they have 1 HP, it has 1 HP, and they kill it. And so you could say, hey man, you know, it's a part of the game. I'm untapped. I could kill you right now. I don't want to though. It's just the way that the game works, you know, but I don't want to. So like, what could you give me? Don't say it like this, but I would be like, what could you get? Like, if you give me like a cent, I won't use it on you. And then they'll be like, yeah, sure, deal. So they give you a cent. Boom, easy money, right? Or you could do 2 cents, or you could do, make sure you use the whatever their eternal item is on you next turn, you know? So early game Judas, I would really focus on using Book of Belial for yourself to try to build up as many coins and loot cards as you can, because a big part of Judas as well that I've found is trying to find battery cards, battery loot cards, and battery items, but those are few and far between. But battery loot cards, so good as Judas, and we'll get into that later. But yeah, really try to build yourself up. Don't really focus on anyone else because no one else is really trying to find souls right now. They're just trying to do the same thing that you're doing, which is just, again, building up their repertoire. That's not it. They're trying to build their chunk of change. They're trying to build their loot card. They're trying to build their deck, you know? Jeez. Freaking heck. All right, next up we have Judas in mid-game, and mid-game Judas. I mean, this is where you play. This is Judas, like, this is like, if there was like a hometown where like Judas, like when he was 18, he moved away, and then he like lost his job, and he like when he went to the big city, he lost his job, and he's like, oh, I have to fall back. I have to go back to my hometown. I gotta go back to my roots. Roots is mid-game, bro. Mid-game is when Judas goes to town. use the Book of Belial as much as you can. Use it as a weapon. Don't care about enemy. Don't forget everything I said about early game. It's a completely different story once you get to mid game. So mid game is when everyone is starting to get their like second and third, mostly third items though, and they're usually going after like their first, second, or even third soul. And just don't let any of it happen. Kill them. Literally use the Book of Belial as if you're a menace, because nobody can do stuff about it. I mean, besides all the stuff that they can do about it, but you understand what I'm saying. Consider yourself the villain when you're mid-game. Use it as much as you can, because everyone else is, mid-game is really when people start to use like their items against other people and not only for themselves, you know what I mean? So fall into that villain role. Be completely fine with being the villain. This is where batteries come in very handy. So if you want to keep yourself untapped, you want to use Book of Belial on somebody, and then they could counter it, right? Then they could be like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna do this instead, and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, okay, how about I tap, battery, pow, pow, iced. I'm the villain. And again, a good way of framing using the Book of Belial, because it is really powerful. It is a really powerful eternal item. Like I was saying, like fall into the villain role, but like if you can try to convince people like that you're not doing this just because you're a scumbag, a good way of doing it is like I've said in the past, like it's a part of the, like I can't not do it. Like it's in front. I feel bad, but I mean I have to if I want to win. Like I want to win too, you know. I kind of want to. I kind of want to win too, you know? Or you could just be the villain and be like, yeah, fuck you. Okay, now we are getting to endgame Judas. Ooh. He's not that great. He could be good though if you have the tools to make it happen. So a reason I don't think endgame Judas is like particularly incredible is because everyone kind of already has their like everyone has their like third soul about, or like everyone's kind of like at 2 souls or 3 souls by now. And everyone should like have established their plans. Like everyone has their items and knows like what everyone else is gonna, like, oh, if I were Maggie or something, like I could think to myself like, we got Judas right here and we got Cain or something right here. And so if I was Maggie, I would be like, okay, I know that he's gonna try to use the Book of Belial on me. I know he might try to manipulate the deck in front of me, blah, blah, blah. It's like you have these plans for everyone at the table. Like in case he does this, I could do this. In case he does this, I could do this. And so a measly little -1 to a dice roll doesn't really hit as much as it did mid-game and early game. Because another thing is people save their like S-tier loot cards for endgame, you know? People will have the Lover's card, people will have the Chariot, people will have Empress, people will have Dice Shard. I mean, I don't think that's an S-tier loot card, but it will for sure do something against Judas. So if people have those kinds of cards in their hand, like just minusing 1 to a dice roll isn't like fantastic, you know what I mean? It'll still do something, and it's still good to have it and like be able to tap to use it on other people's turns. And if you have any batteries left over, especially good if you're able to play them right now in endgame. But again, I don't think Judas is great endgame unless you have kind of these tools. So that was early, mid, and endgame as Judas. Now we're going to be focusing on some general tips and tricks that I found with Judas. And these I think almost are kind of the most important, or like I think that a lot of people don't make these plays that I kind of realize. I think I'm actually just the best player of all time. No, but what I'm trying to say is I feel like there's a lot of plays that I've seen myself make that I have told people about because they don't realize that they can make them as Judas. So obviously I've been preaching this: battery, 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 and battery items. Charge the Book of Belial. Obviously you don't really have that big of a play in drawing that from the top of the loot deck, but if you see it in the shop, get it, dude. Get it in a heartbeat. Second little tip is pills. Pills are so good as Judas, especially early game. I think often people think of pills like, oh, they're not like that great, they can like make me lose sense, blah, 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 or make me take a damage or whatever. I think people think to themselves like, why would I play a pill when I could play a monster and use the Book of Belial on the monster to then give me whatever, you know? Well, the thing is when you're facing a monster, you could die, and so you could lose a loot card, penny, and an item if you have it, or a trinket if you have it. And if you're playing pills, or especially the pill that I'm talking about, which is the one that you could be gaining 7 cents, so you could either almost maybe die against a monster, or you could play a pill and it's pretty much a 50-50 shot of getting 7 cents. So use pills. Use the blank rune. Blank rune is absolutely amazing as Judas as well. And so number 3, this is a very, I mean, I've never seen anyone do this genuinely as Judas. And this is raising, or minusing, but really raising dice rolls for other players when they're fighting monsters, when there are cursed enemies on the board. I've seen so many instances of like when anyone rolls a 4, everyone takes 1 damage, you know? And so someone rolls a 5 and then I'm like, I'm gonna tap and make that a 4. And they're like, okay, I still hit it. And I'd be like, yeah, but also you get hit. Or it's a 4+ monster and someone rolls a 5 and then I'm like, I'm gonna tap and make that a 6. And they're like, okay, I still hit it and kill it. And I'd be like, actually, you end your turn because Mom's Cursed Hand is on the board. And for our final tip, we have the Pandora's box. Obviously, I think a lot of people, when playing as Judas, think of Pandora's box and they're like, oh my gosh, if I get that, if I get that 5 or 6, I can get a soul. I could get a soul. No. I mean, yes, you could, and that's good, but don't just tap Pandora's box when you get Pandora's box. They get Pandora's box, they're Judas, and they think, oh my god, if I tap and it's a 1/3 chance that I could get a soul out of this. Dude, if you play it right, it's a 5/6 chance that you're getting a soul out of it. If you just wait for a soul to come on the board, right? Because if you roll a 3 for Pandora's box, you get to kill a monster. I mean, best case scenario, Hush, Mom's Heart, Mom, the Lamb, Satan, even Delirium could be good. Big bosses, if they're on the board, that is when you want to tap. Or if you're waiting too long and there's just a regular soul on the board, equally good. Because if you tap Pandora's box while there's a soul on the board, you could roll a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 and you're guaranteed a soul. Because from a 2, you can add +1 to the dice roll to make it a 3. At a 3, you kill the monster. At a 4, you -1 to make it 3, so you could kill a monster. At 5, you could add 1 to make it a soul. At 6, you just get the soul. And that's that. That's all I got. I hope you guys enjoyed my tips and tricks for playing as Judas and how I've played as Judas. If you think of anything that I missed, please leave it in the comments. I will be down there talking to you guys as much as I can. Again, thank you guys so much for the support on my last videos. I really appreciate it. Gameplay videos are coming soon. I'm able to get some people to play 4 Souls with me on Tabletop Simulator, so I'm very excited for that. And I hope you guys are too. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.